I'm Will Schroeder. My opponent, Daniel Cameron, is running a shameful negative campaign.
I'm Daniel Cameron. I fought to confirm President Trump's conservative judges, and I'm proud to be 100% pro-life.
It's a cheap shot. The truth? I'll work with President Trump to build the wall and build it now, to keep illegals, drugs, and crime out of Kentucky. And I'm the only Republican for Attorney General who's actually tried a case and worked with law enforcement to put criminals behind bars.
Crime fighter, conservative Trump Republican, husband, father, Christian. Will Schroeder for Kentucky Attorney General.
I'm Daniel Cameron. I'm a lifelong Republican, and I support a border wall to help end the flow of crime and drugs into our state.
Okay, so now let's talk about the very contentious fight between the Republican nominees for Attorney General. You got Daniel Cameron on one hand, who's 33 years old, from Hardin County. Hardin County is named after John J. Hardin, who is a notorious American Indian, Native American genocider. John J. Hardin proudly killed and scalped Shawnee. The Cumberland Lake and the Cumberland River, that's the Shawnee River. That's the Shawnee Lake. So that's what it was called before the Duke of Cumberland was honored for killing a whole bunch of Scottish people. So Daniel Cameron on one hand, and that's a Mitch McConnell guy. Mitch McConnell's endorsed David Cameron. Mitch McConnell's got his dark money super PAC, doing a lot of intimidation and harassment of Will Schroeder. And then you got Will Schroeder, who's a Rand Paul guy. So you got Rand Paul on one side and Mitch McConnell on another. And this is just like Trey Grayson versus Rand. So Trey Grayson had Mitch McConnell's endorsement, but Rand Paul won anyways. So Daniel Cameron, Will Schroeder, both are running for Attorney General for the Republican nomination. So the Republicans have two choices come Tuesday, 2 days from now.
Hi, this is Rand Paul. Will Schroeder is running for the state Senate. He's been serving as a prosecutor in the Campbell County Commonwealth Attorney's Office. Will Schroeder is a conservative and a good man. He wants to make Kentucky more competitive so we can create jobs here. Will Schroeder will fight for smaller government and lower taxes. He'll vote to free up Kentucky businesses from excessive regulations. On Tuesday, vote for Will Schroeder for State Senate.
Paid for by Will Schroeder for State Senate.
Now, while I'm sure there are some problems with illegal immigration in Kentucky, it's not a massive problem. It's not a pressing problem. There's not a huge invasion. There's not a massive influx that's affecting many people. They're so far away from the border that, you got, traverse 3 or 4, 5 states just to get to Kentucky. So for anybody to be concerned about illegal immigration, especially for a statewide, position, you can be concerned, but it's not going to be your top priority, especially since many farmers depend on the migrant labor that do the hard labor on their farms. So it'll impact the farmers. That'll be the biggest impact, is that the farmers will have to find, other workers to do their hard labor. And they are dependent on that migrant labor. So the problem isn't that there's a lot of illegal immigrants coming into Kentucky. The problem is, meth, poverty, illiteracy, cancer, heart disease, diabetes, illiteracy. Did I mention illiteracy? 2 out of 5 Kentuckians can't read, according to a 1999 Paul Patton study. 2 out of 5 Kentuckians can't even read. So both Will Schroeder and Daniel Cameron went ahead and took the Southern strategy approach. They're throwing the brown people under the bus to appeal to the white Republicans of Kentucky. Now, they both are talking about a border wall with Trump. They are statewide positions. When Alison Grimes ran a similar ad 4 years ago, or 5 years ago, against Mitch McConnell, everybody shitted on Alison Grimes. You had Howard Dean and you had MoveOn.org, who demanded that Alison Grimes take down her ad. She mentioned illegal aliens. So just like Daniel Cameron and Will Schroeder, they said illegals. They said build the border wall. So Alison's ad had accused Mitch McConnell of providing amnesty and taxpayer-funded benefits to 3 million illegal aliens. And she said that this was the largest legalization program in U.S. history. Alison said, and I quote, "I've never supported amnesty or benefits for illegal immigrants, and I never will." for illegal immigrants. So the complaint from the left was that she should have said undocumented people, not illegal immigrants, because no person is illegal except for the people that haven't been legally naturalized. They're, illegal. If you passed a comprehensive immigration reform, then that would actually address the problem of immigration. But Mitch McConnell did not sign on to the immigration reform. Alison Grimes was for bipartisan comprehensive immigration reform, but we never got any immigration reform. But the PC police, they went after Alison Grimes for saying, hey, why are you talking about the border issues and border security and the problem with illegal immigrants? So if Alison Grimes can get attacked for running a Southern strategy, a racist ad, a dog whistle saying, hey, I'm going to throw the brown folks under the bus, then Daniel Cameron and Will Schroeder should also be confronted with their possible racism. It's a dog whistle, so sounds racist to me.
I'm Will Schroeder. My opponent, Daniel Cameron, is running a shameful negative campaign.
I'm Daniel Cameron. I fought to confirm President Trump's conservative judges, and I'm proud to be 100% pro-life.
It's a cheap shot. The truth? I'll work with President Trump to build the wall and build it now, to keep illegals, drugs, and crime out of Kentucky. And I'm the only Republican for Attorney General who's actually tried a case and worked with law enforcement to put criminals behind bars.
Crime fighter, conservative Trump Republican, husband, father, Christian. Will Schroeder for Kentucky Attorney General.
I'm Daniel Cameron. I'm a lifelong Republican, and I support a border wall to help end the flow of crime and drugs into our state.
So you have two Republican candidates. You got Will Schroeder and Daniel Cameron. Will Schroeder is 36 years old. Daniel Cameron is 33 years old. They're both lawyers. Daniel Cameron used to be a lawyer for Mitch McConnell, and Will Schroeder was a lawyer in Campbell County. He was the assistant of the Commonwealth's attorney for 6 years. And Will Schroeder's father used to be part of the Supreme Court for about 20 years. So Will Schroeder is part of a dynasty.
A respected jurist for 22 years, Will Schroeder served 8 years as Kenton County District Judge. As a special district judge, Will Schroeder handled cases in Campbell, Grant, and Oldham counties. A Court of Appeals judge for 14 years, Will Schroeder is Chief Judge Pro Tem of Kentucky's second highest court. Will Schroeder is the only candidate for Kentucky's highest court with experience as a sitting judge. Judge Will Schroeder for Supreme Court.
The Republicans have two choices, Will Schroeder and Daniel Cameron. The Democrats have already chosen who they're going to run for the Attorney General, and it's Greg Stumbo. So Greg Stumbo is going to face off whoever wins between Cameron and Schroeder. Greg Stumbo had investigated Ernie Fletcher's hiring practices, which was a former Republican governor, and that ultimately led to his downfall. So Greg Stumbo is a formidable politician, and it would be interesting to see who wins this Republican race and then who's going to win the race in November. So let's take a moment and talk about David Cameron's profile. So David Cameron, 33 years old, he's from Elizabethtown, Hardin County, named after John J. Hardin, the Indian killer. He worked as Mitch McConnell's personal lawyer for 2 years and then went to private practice. Mitch McConnell has personally endorsed Daniel Cameron himself. Daniel Cameron played on the football team for the University of Louisville, but he said he spent most of the time on the bench. It was a wonderful experience, but he didn't actually play much U of L football. He did get a political science degree at U of L, bachelor's degree. He also went to the University of Louisville Louis D. Brandeis Law School, and he passed the bar in 2011. He clerked for the U.S. District Judge Gregory Van Tatenhove for 2 years. Now, Daniel Cameron had circulated mailers that claimed that Will Schroeder was once a Democrat, and Will Schroeder was once a Democrat. But Daniel Cameron also said that maybe Will Schroeder is still secretly a Democrat today, which he is not. So when the Enquirer had asked Daniel Cameron what he thought about the Will Schroeder shooting a TV ad, Daniel Cameron said that he didn't have time to pontificate on that. But he did say that records are fair game and that Will Schroeder was a Democrat just a few years before 2014 when he won his Senate seat, the state Senate seat of Kentucky. So Will Schroeder said that he was a Democrat more than 10 years ago. And just like Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump, they had seen the light. They used to be Democrats. And then they said that they didn't leave the Democratic Party, but the Democratic Party had left Will Schroeder. So Will Schroeder is in the same vein, same way of thinking as Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump. David Cameron is virulently against marijuana, and he hates the drugs. So guess what, Kentucky? You got somebody who's actually going to fight the drugs, and this time he's going to win. In the next 4 years, you're not going to see any drugs in Kentucky because the war on drugs, Nixon's 1971 war on drugs, has been such a smashing success. So Daniel Cameron is going to fight the drugs. Daniel Cameron says he knows the police, and he knows that the police are very concerned about the legalization of marijuana.
In Frankfurt right now, lobbyists outnumber lawmakers 15-1. And Matt Bevin, well, he's just another sellout. I'm the only candidate for governor not taking corporate PAC money. And the only person I'll work for is you.
Adam Edelen, Democrat for governor.
So congratulations, Kentucky. You finally got yourself a candidate that's actually going to win the war on drugs. He doesn't care about the war on poverty and the war on terror. I'm sure he's okay with. Daniel Cameron says that he talks to the police. So he's going to go after drugs, including marijuana. And marijuana is a Class B felony, so he's going to get a bunch more felons out of Kentucky, you felonious criminal sons of bitches. A felony? Marijuana is a felony? My God, Johnny Law is don't rape, don't murder, don't pedophile, don't use violence, don't steal, don't burn down people's houses. Those are the big things. When one person injures another person, if there's no injured party, then there's no crime. But that's not what Daniel Cameron believes. He doesn't believe you have a right to your own body. So even though Daniel Cameron says that he's got grave concerns about marijuana, Daniel Cameron doesn't realize how much drug use is prevalent within the police of Kentucky. You have the highest levels of drug use, domestic violence, and insanity in the police force than you do in the general population. So Daniel Cameron has grave concerns about the drugs, about marijuana. Well, maybe you should drug test your police. I wonder how many of those. And maybe drug test actually only picks up marijuana, so to find cocaine, it gets out of your system in a day. So you have to do something else. You need to investigate your police for insanity, domestic violence, and drug use. If Daniel Cameron actually truly cares about drugs, my guess, he's going to give the police immunity and then go after the poor citizens.
In this edition of Election 2019 2-Minute Sit-Downs, I got with Daniel Cameron, judge for the Eastern District of Kentucky, and then went on to private practice. Cameron told me that the main impetus for his running was the ongoing drug epidemic throughout the Commonwealth, and he has ideas for how this can be remedied.
So I'm originally from Elizabethtown, Hardin County, Kentucky. Grew up into the race, rather, is because I believe that it's the ultimate platform from which to confront the public safety challenge of our lifetime, which is the drug epidemic. And I think over the last 4 years, 4 to 8 years, if you will, the occupant in the AG's office has not focused as much. I know in many ways we've seen some, what I would say, some distasteful sort of rhetoric from New York in the passage of a late-term abortion bill. We've also seen some concerning comments from the governor of Virginia as it relates to not even what I'd consider late-term abortion. I'd consider, well, I think, for me, one of the things that, if I'm fortunate enough to be the nominee for the Republican Party, I think it's an historic moment for the party. And I think we say, if I'm, again, fortunate enough on May 21 to win the primary, we say the following day on May 22nd that we're not going to concede a vote in the general election and that we're going to campaign and run hard in every county, in every precinct of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, because it's important that all men, women, and children.
Daniel Cameron continues his ignorance when it comes to marijuana. He says it's a gateway drug. No, it's an end drug. It's the best drug out there. So you like marijuana, you're not going to do the other drugs. I don't even like alcohol. To say that it's a gateway drug is only because it's illegal. So if you try something illegal, what else has America been lying to me about? What, marijuana is what? Crack? Marijuana is heroin? Marijuana is meth? It's not a narcotic. Marijuana is not a narcotic. So, according to Daniel Cameron, since marijuana is a gateway drug, you smoke pot one day, the next day you're shooting up the neighborhood. Daniel Cameron has seen the violent, psychotic effects of marijuana. That's also wrong. Marijuana makes you hungry, happy, sleepy. Hungry, happy, sleepy. That's it. So actually, marijuana would be more likely to cause a violent psycho who's shooting up the neighborhood to chill the fuck out and to drink some Mountain Dew and eat some Doritos than to cause a regular citizen to blow up into a violent, outbursting rage. Daniel Cameron has no idea what the hell he's talking about. He's led a privileged life. And so, you know, being a lawyer and then you had to go to college, you couldn't have a marijuana charge. So he's just been indoctrinated in his little bubble, and he seems to think that, oh yeah, the police, a lot of police unions are against the illegalization of marijuana. A lot of police are sick of busting people for marijuana.
So let's move now and talk about marijuana. Let's talk about decriminalization of marijuana. We know there is a Democratic gubernatorial contender who is advocating to decriminalize possession of small amounts of marijuana. Edelen, former state auditor, is calling for eliminating criminal penalties for possessing less than a half ounce of marijuana. Would you support such a plan, as we know that many cities and states are focusing less on marijuana possession because they have such a huge problem with heroin and other illicit drugs? Does this seem like a reasonable approach and a proposition to you, Mr. Cameron?
I do not think so. At the end of the day...
So Daniel Cameron says we shouldn't generate revenue from the taxes of marijuana. Daniel Cameron does not want Kentucky to become like Colorado. He doesn't want Kentucky to be like the shit show that is Colorado, even though the legalization of marijuana has worked and it's been absolutely successful. Instead, Daniel Cameron wants Kentucky to be more like Indiana and Tennessee, where the personal income taxes are lowered. And that's where the new revenue streams for important government services are going to come from, cutting people's income taxes. You cut the taxes, and then revenue, it just trickles down. So it just believe Daniel Cameron. Just believe him. Daniel Cameron is very pro-life. He's for the border wall, so he's for all these national issues. What the hell is he going to do for Kentucky? Daniel Cameron helped to confirm Neil Gorsuch, who is also very anti-abortion. So Daniel Cameron says you got to enforce the laws that's on the books, but then when it comes to abortion, he's saying change all the laws on the books. So which is it? You're going to enforce the law, or are you going to be an activist attorney general? Which one, Daniel Cameron?
If I'm Kentucky's Attorney General, I want to make sure that every family knows, in all 120 counties, that I will fight for the rights of the unborn. That what we have seen in New York, what we have seen in Virginia, with the clinical and callous comments as it relates to late-term abortion, will not stand here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
Since Daniel Cameron is being personally endorsed by Mitch McConnell got his dark money, the Judicial Crisis Network, JCN. So the Judicial Crisis Network is promoting Daniel Cameron to the tune of $350,000. And they've done a lot of intimidation and harassment of Will Schroeder. What the Judicial Crisis Network has done with the $350,000, they filed open record requests regarding criminal charges around Will Schroeder's previous addresses in northern Kentucky. So they found out Will Schroeder's previous addresses and then filed open records requests to find out what his criminal charges, if there were any, at those addresses. They found the neighbors of Will Schroeder's previous addresses, and they were trying to find some dirt. So they were asking the neighbors, they're filing open requests. They also use push polls. So the JCN, the Judicial Crisis Network, a dark money super PAC that is essentially donated to by one single mysterious wealthy donor. Nobody knows who it is because we're Americans. We don't need to be told the truth. We don't need transparency. But the JCN had used push polls, and they pretended to ask for opinions on the race to make it look like it's a pollster asking about the Attorney General's race. But really, when you got to some of the lower questions, you found out that they were trying to see if regular folks knew anything about Will Schroeder that they could use. So again, they're trying to find dirt. They're stalking him, going to his neighbors, filing open record requests on all of his previous addresses. and they're using push polls to find if any of the general public might know something about Will Schroeder. So they're going overboard. They're going over, just too much. It's too much. That's insane. Daniel Cameron has such a nice, pleasant demeanor. Why the hell is he allowing this dark super PAC do all this harassment and intimidation against Will Schroeder?
Thank you again. I am from Hardin County, Kentucky. So for you all that do not know where Hardin County is, Elizabethtown, it's about 35 to 40 minutes south of Louisville. So I grew up there.
The JCN is a 501c4 social welfare organization, which means they don't have to disclose their donors. So the millions and millions of dollars that's donated to the Judicial Crisis Network, who Mitch McConnell has been associated with, has worked with for the past 10 to 20 years, is all being financed by one single mysterious wealthy donor. Is it Sheldon Edelen or George Soros? Oh my God, what if Daniel Cameron is financed by George Soros? Daniel Cameron has $286,000 in his own personal war coffers for the campaign, and Will Schroeder has $135,000. So Will Schroeder, just off the bat, by the media standards, he doesn't have the same amount of money. Daniel Cameron is the winner. He's won by twice the amount, plus with the super PAC money. My God, he's got $500,000 in his war chest. Will Schroeder only has $135,000. Daniel Cameron promises to carry the Trump agenda with him to Frankfurt.
I've built my legal knowledge over 14 years of practice. I have advocated for my clients without fear or favor. I care about family court, Judge, because people come to family court. You're dealing with the most important aspects of your life, your children. The people of Pike County deserves a judge that's made tough decisions as an attorney so they can make hard decisions on the bench. My name is Kent Varney, and I'm running for your Pike County Family Court Judge.